is pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, heavy duty.
You and I don't. I think this is actually the cool part of doing the show at this time, is because there is a potential massive story today that is being investigated, that has been investigated, and potentially could be further investigated about the Clippers. But you and I getting to this in the afternoon would have been regurgitated and recycled 60 times before it got to us.
Yeah.
We get to really set the table here potentially with a story that's very intricate. It's very detailed. It's not an easy story to decipher, so we're going to have a lot of sound to really explain the details, and we're going to fill the gaps for you, and then we'll just have an open discussion throughout the show about these different findings from Pablo Torre of Meadowlark Media. His podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, is generally an investigative podcast. He used to do The Daily on ESPN. Prior to that, on this particular podcast, okay.
Are you jumping into it right now?
Yeah, I'm just going to explain. I'm going to wet the beak, as Chris likes to say.
Because I was going to give it a different interpretation. Go ahead.
So what we will get to today is Pablo Torre's investigation on his podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, and the New York Times, about the Clippers allegedly, which is the key word here, okay, allegedly, circumventing the salary cap to give through another company to have Kawhi Leonard compensated. Allegedly. All alleged, right? So this alleged circumvention that leads to allegedly Kawhi getting paid by this company, okay?
Can we get a timer or a counter on the number of times we're going to say allegedly?
Allegedly is going to be said a lot today.
Listen, Cap, we don't want to get sued, man.
No, I get it. I would say I'm wondering if the over/under should be set at like 100.
I'll keep a tally marker.
Okay, yeah, all right. So allegedly, we'll have to start from here.
Yeah.
But George, as we get ready to jump into this, and I agree with you. It's fun to get on the air first thing in the morning and be able to, as you said, set the table for a story like this. So for everybody that's just waking up or you're just getting in your car, or you're just on your way to work and you're like, guys, what are we talking about here? Let me just say this. You ready? This story that we're going to discuss today, I call it juicy, okay, because it has almost everything you want when you're talking about like a crazy, controversial story and investigation. People say journalism's dead. I go, yeah, I mean, I guess. But there are still some journalists out there that are doing some heavy-duty, deep investigation. Pablo is clearly one of them. But this story has celebrity. It has professional sports. It has billionaires. It has millions of dollars being transferred.
By the way, and a much bigger story, which will be investigated more than likely as well. And this was all prompted on a local businessman in Orange County, Joe Sandberg, starting a company called Aspiration, which was providing carbon footprints, basically planting trees, okay, and had celebrity endorsers like Robert Downey Jr., Leonardo DiCaprio, to say the least, and, of course, Kawhi Leonard.
Right. So you've got celebrities, you've got pro sports athletes at the highest level.
Right.
You've got the glitz and glamour of the Los Angeles market.
And a link and a business link between that company Aspiration and the Los Angeles Clippers.
Right. So you see what I'm getting at here? Just to set the table, it's got everything you want. The only thing missing, honestly, is like something juicy, sexy. You know what I mean?
None of
that. There's no
always has to go to the sexual.
But there's nothing there. That's my point. Is that the only it's like 80%.
It's early still.
Yeah, it's 80%. It's got everything other than one last thing, but it's a very crazy story, at least the way it's being reported.
The reason Pablo even investigated the story was because this company Aspiration filed for bankruptcy because they allegedly defrauded a private firm, an investment firm of nearly $200 million. And that kind of started, 7 months ago, Pablo then started to kind of dive into this story because it triggered in his head that company was associated with the Clippers when they opened their building.
Yeah.
Because of the whole, greenest arena in the country, carbon footprints, et cetera. Okay. And they were aligning as a local company based out of Orange County and the team at that particular time. By the way, the team then disassociated with them several years later. But we'll get into all of it, and in greater detail. We'll have some of the sound with them discussing it. Pablo on his podcast alongside David Sampson, who is the former Marlins team president and is basically a sports business reporter, I would call him to some extent, or talk show host.
Insider,
expert,
yeah.
right, is on this podcast. And an old friend of ours, Amin Al-Hassan, who worked at ESPN, used to be on this station many, many, many times over the years, who used to be a front office executive. So he can kind of help with the minutia of the NBA side of it on this said podcast. But before we get to all that, of this now, and we will kind of continue this conversation throughout the show today, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So Pablo Torre on his podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, an investigative podcast, as I mentioned, has David Sampson on, former Marlins team president, kind of sports business insider, Amin Al-Hassan, former NBA front office member of the Phoenix Suns and several other teams, but particularly the Phoenix Suns, former ESPN employee on this podcast to discuss a 7th-month investigation Pablo has done into whether the Clippers allegedly sweetened the pot for one of the most private stars in the history of sports in Kawhi Leonard and allegedly circumvented the salary cap. So that is the basis of this podcast.
Just pause on that for a quick second, because, again, I know everybody's kind of getting up. People are in their cars, and not everybody knows the story, and you've been up since about 2 o'clock in the morning doing research, it seems like.
Yes.
So just to understand, you use the word circumvent. You said allegedly circumvent.
Right.
So the allegation then is that make sure I understand this, that whatever Kawhi Leonard is being paid by the Clippers, right, whatever his contract is,
right,
well, whatever that number was, $200 million.
Yeah.
Okay. The allegation is that the Clippers were finding another way to pay Kawhi even more.
Correct. Okay. Allegedly.
Okay. So again, according to the allegation, Kawhi Leonard is a basketball player who plays for the LA Clippers. He's an employee of the Clippers, and they can pay him X number of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Based on all the NBA collective bargaining agreement rules, he can get paid X number of dollars.
Right.
Well, for argument's sake, we'll call it $200 million.
Yeah.
But you just use the phrase "sweeten the pot." Again, an allegation, sweeten the pot, right?
That was their allegation and the way they phrased it in the podcast.
Okay. So the sweetening of the pot is, hey, we're going to pay you X because this is what the NBA allows us to pay you. It's the most amount of money we can pay you.
Right.
But we know you want more, and we want to get you to play for us. We want you to be part of our team. So you know what? We got a creative way. We'll pay you X number of dollars from another company. We're going to set you up to get paid X number of dollars. And by the way, you don't have to really do anything. We're just paying you.
Yeah.
That's the allegation.
That is the allegation.
Okay.
And this company, Aspiration, this green carbon footprint company, was in business with the Clippers, which we'll hear in more detail down the road.
Okay.
And then the Clippers then severed ties with them. Okay. So, and in his findings, Pablo Torre alleges that Steve Ballmer, according to documents, through his private LLC, was an investor in the company Aspiration. So they were partners. They were business partners, okay? And this investigation that he's doing is not the first time someone has investigated the Clippers about Kawhi Leonard. If you remember, when Kawhi signed in the summer of 2019, The Athletic at that particular time did an investigation because NBA owners were like, yo, what? How? Particularly the folks in El Segundo, right? We're like wondering, like, what happened here? Okay. And now I still believe two things can be true at once. I don't believe Kawhi Leonard wanted to play second fiddle or even third fiddle to LeBron or anyone else on this team. That's number one. So I think two things can be true. And I still believe, and I certainly believe that the Lakers were still wondering, how the hell did the Clippers get him and not us, right? And question if there was anything going on there. So in this investigation, okay, by Sam Amick, friend of the program at The Athletic back in 2019, the investigation at that particular time was, after this was uncovered by Sam Amick in The Athletic, that allegedly Dennis Robertson, known as Uncle Dennis.
This is Kawhi's uncle?
Correct.
Okay.
Had allegedly requested improper benefits, including guaranteed endorsement money that would break the league's collective bargaining agreement during the free agency process of 2019 that saw Leonard sign with the Clippers. And
so in advance of the signing, the uncle was asking.
Allegedly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, Amick at the time, all right, in his story, found that no evidence was found indicating the Clippers had granted any requests that were made, but that the league investigated this as well, and this was just part of his reporting, and they found no malfeasance, right? Nothing shady had gone on, okay? But the league did state in its reporting, in its statement in 2019, when this was originally a thing, that, quote, it would reopen the investigation should relevant evidence surface in the future.
Okay. Well, I would say that this is relevant evidence.
Correct. Alleged. I mean, maybe. Well, now, look, I've known Pablo Torre a long time. He is a great journalist. So I don't think he's going out there swinging his you-know-what without having all the goods, right? He's got emails. He's spoken to 7 people who were formerly at Aspiration, including one person who you'll hear that if you watch the video on YouTube on his podcast is blurred out and his voice is distorted for anonymity.
Yep.
Okay. And this person was in charge of the finances for Aspiration, the company that was involved, that was business partners with the Clippers back in 2021. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to lay the groundwork here with a piece of sound from Pablo's podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out. And it's going to be with that said person, the finance person whose voice is distorted, about the alleged deal between Aspiration and Kawhi Leonard, specifically, who had created a separate LLC for this venture.
I convinced one very important person who worked in the finance department of Aspiration to go on tape.
And I didn't so much as discover it as I was told about it.
What was your reaction? What were you told?
My reaction was, what the f***? And I was told, like, oh, these are the major contracts and the major players you really need to be aware of. And we went through a litany of, really, really top tier name contracts. And then, oh, by the way, we also have a marketing deal with Kawhi Leonard, a $28 million organic marketing sponsorship deal with Kawhi. And that if I had any questions about it, essentially don't, because it was to circumvent the salary cap, LOL. There was lots of LOL when things were shared.
Did you ever see proof of Kawhi Leonard marketing or endorsing Aspiration in any way?
Never, not once. The single largest payment to an individual for marketing that Aspiration ever made has completely evaded all press. It's honestly incredible. Nothing. He didn't have to do anything.
In other words, Kawhi Leonard got from Aspiration a $28 million no-show job.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm honestly so jealous. So jealous. I mean, he's got the dream. Like, it's within my beliefs to be paid $28 million and do absolutely all as well.
The Clippers, however, provided a statement on behalf of the organization and owner Steve Ballmer, which reads in part, quote, "Neither Mr. Ballmer nor the Clippers circumvented the salary cap or engaged in any misconduct related to Aspiration. Any contrary assertion is provably false." End quote.
So there you have it. So the Clippers, that is Pablo talking to a person in the finance who worked in finance, the finance department for this company, Aspiration, that was in business with the Clippers. They were one of the original partners in the Intuit Dome. And they even had their logo attached to the seats on courtside and on a patch on the team jersey. And again, they did separate. The Clippers did separate from this company, Aspiration, several years later. But that is the finance person, or one of the people that worked in finance for the corporation, Aspiration. And then the Clippers' response to Pablo seeking comment.
And I thought the Clippers at the very end, at least the way it was read, provably wrong. That's an interesting phrase to me, provably wrong. So what it almost sounds like to me is the Clippers are saying, just to let you guys know, you got this cute little investigation going on here, but I'm here to tell you that any allegations made against us, we can actually go ahead and prove how wrong you are. Now, can they? I suppose they're going to have to put their money where their mouth is, because if you're going to tell everybody this is provably wrong, guess what you're going to have to do? Prove them wrong. Very interesting.
Yeah, look, and there's way more to this that we will unveil here in a few moments, because there's just a lot. I mean, it's an hour and 20-minute podcast, okay? And there are chunks that we're going to play that are related to how this all allegedly went down. So the next clip we're going to play on the other side of the break, we're going to break for a couple minutes here, and about 3 minutes, is you're going to hear Pablo, you're going to hear David Sampson, former Marlins team president, who is a sports business insider, understands the legalese of all these things, being the president of an organization at one point for many years. And then you'll hear Amin Al-Hassan, former ESPN employee, former NBA front office insider, discussing the NBA aspects of this. So that'll be on the other side. And that one is interesting because what David finds in the 3,000 pages of documents they have on the desk is specifics as to Kawhi and how the deal was constructed with him and Aspiration. Again, that part is important. So we'll have that on the other side. Sedano and Cap. We will have some fun and frivolity at some point.
We're going to have fun. You know it. Like now.
But this is a hard story to unpack.
No, and we're going to unpack it. And Cappy's going to be into it. We're all into it. But here's the thing. We do want to keep a count to this morning on the allegedly meeting.
How many do we have?
We got so far?
11 so far.
11. Yeah. And by the way,
listen, I'm making sure we are all going to be covered
absolutely.
here.
But here's the thing.
There we go, 11.
It's 11.
11 is 11.
But just remember this. That's before they started keeping track of the statistics. In other words,
there was at least 3 or 4 more before
there
that.
could have been 7 or 8.
We could have said 15 if you want.
We could.
We'll round it up.
We'll round it up to 15.
Say like
okay,
4. Just say real fast.
15's 4. 15's fair.
So say allegedly 4 times, Cappy.
Just really fast so we can get caught up.
Let's say everybody here can get one in. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
there we go.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Oh, now we got
all right, now we're at the 15. We're at 15.
All right, 7:22.
So when there's a massive story, we have to tell it, at least a quick little summary all the time. So Pablo Torre of Meadowlark Media on his podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, investigated for the last 7 months a story, okay, that alleges, there's your allegedly counter there.
It is a form of the same word.
Right. That
I get it.
You got that?
That alleges into the Clippers, allegedly,
twice more.
Circumventing the salary cap with Kawhi Leonard, okay?
It's unbelievable. Is it unbelievable or is it believable? In other words,
you mean the story or me saying allegedly so many times?
No, allegedly is good. That's good. And even when you say it out of context, it's still good.
Yeah.
But is it hard to believe the notion that a team would say to a player, we really, really, really want you to play for our team?
Right.
And the player goes, I'm not so sure. I don't know. And they go, well, here's the maximum amount of dollars. And the player goes, yes, that's the right amount of money, of course, but I'm still not really sure I want to play for you guys, you know? And then they find out, they go, you know what? Wait a second. How about this? Look.
So you're asking me, is it crazy to think that an owner in professional sports allegedly would want to figure out whatever they need to do to get said star player? And you're saying in any sport or any league or whatever.
Right. Like, hey, we want you to play for us. Thank you. I appreciate that. Here's the amount of money we can pay you. It's the maximum amount of money. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm still not really sure. I'm still not really convinced. Well, you know what? As the owner, I got another idea. How about we put a little sugar on top and we'll pay you more money, but it's got nothing to do with basketball. It's got nothing to do with your contract.
By the way, it doesn't have to be an owner in this case. It could literally be a front office person acting as as a liaison. It doesn't have to be necessarily a specific owner or governor.
Right.
Allegedly.
But
allegedly.
But here's what we're going to do for you. to get you to come play for us, any sport, any player, it doesn't matter. To get you to come play for us, we're going to give you the maximum amount of dollars we can give you according to the rules of our league, but we're also going to pay you a lot more money over here, and you don't have to do anything for it. We're just going to pay it to you as extra. Is that motivation to get you to come play for us? Oh, yes, that's the dollar figure I was looking for. Okay, signed, sealed, delivered. Is that hard to believe?
I listen, if you're asking me that side deals could go on, I mean, think about college sports for a second, okay? College sports literally was all about side deals up until recently, when now it's above board. For years, that's all that transpired in college sports. And, anyone who wants to argue otherwise is just a fool at this point. So are you telling me that something like that could happen professionally? Sure, I guess it could happen, but there are far bigger ramifications, I think, for a professional team to do it than there would be a college team. Although, some would argue SMU, Eric Dickerson's old college team, got the death penalty because of alleged improprieties.
Yeah. I know, like, in certain pro sports teams, pretty much every one that I've ever been around, they have departments where they're doing business transactions, and somebody says, hey, we really love your quarterback. We'd like to do a deal with your quarterback. And the organization goes, oh, well, we can help facilitate that. Here's the agent. Here's here's who to talk to. And good luck. Hopefully you can put a deal together with our player.
When you talk about New York, LA, Chicago, these big cities, there's always a lot of like, there's always ways to make more money.
Yep.
And this, on the surface, was some level of that. But the question is, were there actual improprieties that occurred here?
Yeah, because like the difference would be this. You ready? If you're a car dealership and you want to do a deal with the local star quarterback,
right?
And the league and the team actually helps just facilitate the relationship,
right?
Hey, that's good. The quarterback makes a couple more bucks. Our partnership makes gets their endorsement. That's a good thing. When the allegation is that the owner invests in this company and then this company pays this player an exorbitant amount of money to not have to do anything, that's when red flags start to show up.
Right.
Isn't that weird? The owner put money into this, the player gets this much money, and the club is actually in business with these guys. I don't know. It seems like there's some kind of weird love triangle going on here.
And that's what – so here's that sound, right?
Let's hear it.
So we're going to hear from Pablo Torre on his investigation on the Clippers and their alleged salary cap circumvention with Kawhi Leonard. David Sampson is the other voice you will hear, former president of the Marlins for many years and current sports business insider. The third voice you'll hear is Amin Elhassan, former front office executive with the Phoenix Suns and a number of teams, and former ESPN employee as well. So here's this next clip about the parameters of Kawhi's deal and how he could potentially, allegedly terminate it.
I'm trying to come to grips with 2.10B here. And I'm sorry, but this is a major provision in the contract that I'm not used to seeing. It's called termination. It's when would an agreement be terminated? Mm-hmm. So when can they say, you know what, we're not paying you? And normally there would be provisions for termination if you're a felon, if you're convicted of a felony, sometimes if you're just arrested for a felony, if you do anything for disparagement, if you bring bad juju upon the company, it can trigger a termination. This termination, and it's a termination for cause, which means...
This is in the aspiration endorsement deal.
This is in his $28 million endorsement deal. Termination for cause if Leonard is no longer an employee of the team for any reason, and the team, capital T, is defined as the Clippers.
Yes.
So an endorsement deal that a company does with a player is usually you don't always get the rights to their marks.
Right.
So it's like blank uniforms.
Yep.
And so it doesn't matter whether the player is playing for the Clippers or not. But in this agreement, it's a termination for cause if he's not an employee of the team. For avoidance of doubt, which is what you say in a contract, we want to make sure nobody screws it up. If Leonard is still being paid by the capital T team, but is a member of another NBA organization or has retired, either of those instances are a triggering event for termination by the company.
So an example of that is if Kawhi Leonard got bought out by the Clippers and then ends up signing with the Knicks. Technically, the Clippers are still paying him the remaining amount, but he is an employee of the New York Knicks now. And what that contract is saying very clearly, very bluntly, we're just going to tackle this right now in writing. If that happens, it triggers the termination clause.
I love that David just found that.
I can't believe that Kawhi Leonard, that anyone would ask for that or agree to it if it were not.
It seems to be perhaps one of the things in this otherwise very laissez-faire approach to what you got to do that the Clippers found, you might presume, quite important.
Just be on the Clippers.
Wow.
So the only way the contract would be terminated was if he was not a member of the Clippers, and that was stated implicitly in the documents they found in this investigation.
So if Kawhi Leonard, according to what we just heard,
right,
said, you know what, guys, my knee's messed up. I'm done. I'm retiring. If he chooses to retire, the dollars that are outstanding on this alleged marketing deal with this company Aspiration, he no longer gets that money.
Null and void.
On the other hand, if the Clippers said, hey, Kawhi, we no longer think that we can win a championship with you. Would you like to go play somewhere else? He says, yes, trade me, get me out of here. And they trade him back to San Antonio, as an example. Once he's no longer a member of the Clippers, again, he doesn't get that money.
Allegedly.
So the assumption then, if you're trying to add 2 + 2, the assumption is this is the great motivator to keep him on the Clippers so that he doesn't retire, so that he doesn't request a trade at any point. All he has to do is be a member of the Clippers, according to this report from Pablo Torre. All he has to do is remain a member of the Clippers, and he gets all this extra money.
Correct. So during the company Aspiration's bankruptcy, one of the things that Pablo found in the documents of the bankruptcy, which are public record, was who were the outstanding debts to. And $7 million was to Kawhi Leonard's LLC.
So he got the first 3/4 of the money. He got the first part of it.
Yeah.
According to what you're saying.
Right.
Wow.
All right. So the next thing here is, you know what? We're going to hold off on that because it's a little long. The next thing is the association with Ballmer and the Clippers, I should say, and the organization, Aspiration. The organization and the company Aspiration. That this is the part of the episode where they talk about their relationship and how it began and how they went into a partnership together with the arena. Okay? So we'll do that on the other side. So we'll pause here for a second, Cap.
I like that. We're going to pause. I like that.
Yeah, you know what? I got to tell you, my mind is
sometimes
rattling.
we need to cleanse the palate
Right,
a little bit,
right.
especially in morning drive.
Yeah, my mind is just racing like 1,000 miles
Do you have any
an
more
hour.
questions before we pause?
Well, I mean, here's my thought. I mean, this is just coming out now. The way I'm thinking about it. Like, wow, they paid him all this money to play basketball.
Yeah.
Right? Then the allegation is that they paid him all this extra money to really want to be part of their team. Right? They're going to find a way to keep him by paying him even more money. And then I start thinking about basketball itself. And I start thinking about the number of games that he has missed over the years. And I think to myself, if I were in his shoes, I'd be like, hey, you know what? I'm not playing. Doesn't matter. I'm getting my NBA contract, plus I'm getting all this money over here. And all I have to do is remain a member of the Clippers. Guess what? I can remain a member of the Clippers sitting here on the bench in street clothes if I want to. Like, I don't.
By the way, I'm sure you're not the only person thinking that way.
Yeah,
either.
right? I mean, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are probably thinking to themselves right now, if he was making all this money as a player and he was making all this money on the side.
Allegedly.
And by the way, he has all these other deals with what's the name? I think is he with New Balance? Is that the sneaker brand that he's with? Right? So he's making money. He's just printing money. And you know what he does not have to do to keep the money rolling? He doesn't have to play. He literally does not have to play, but most of the money is still coming to him just because he is a member of the Clippers, according to the report from Torre.
All right, so on the other side, as I mentioned, we will have Pablo's findings on how the relationship or what the relationship was between this company Aspiration, who was allegedly
Where are we at right now on the count? Do we have any
Hold
idea?
on. Let me finish before he says it. Allegedly paying
That was another one.
Kawhi to do what Pablo describes a no-show job and the relationship with the organization, the Clippers. We're going to do that on the other side. What is the count?
32.
32 allegedly.
Only 32
Only
allegedly?
32.
That means
35.
Well, so
You guys just said it 3 times, so
right.
35.
So that is 19 in that segment alone.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And